Hi everyone, welcome back to Frenchies Bakery. Today we are going to be making the most epic Halloween cake ever. It is going to be pitch black with green slime gooing down the sides and in between each layer, and it is just going to be so fun and also taste really good. I actually made my batch of icing last night. If you want a color to be darker, make sure that you make it the day before. So if you want your red to be super red, make it the day before. Same thing with the black. I mentioned that in the tutorial because I'm going to show you guys a clip of how to make it. I actually made this cake last year. I think it was just a single layer. I posted it on my Instagram. I did a lot of stuff on Instagram last year because I didn't have a YouTube channel. So I'm happy that I can recreate it for YouTube, and it's also going to be 2 tiers instead of just one little 6-inch cake, and I think it's gonna look super cool. So I'm gonna show you guys how to make the black icing now, and then we will move on to the crumb coat and filling the layers with the gooey slime. Actually, let me mention the gooey slime real quick. Pudding mixes can be different, so I'm not gonna show you guys how to make that. All you have to do is follow the directions on the back of your pudding mix. So you'll probably need like 2 cups of milk and then some green food coloring, yellow and blue. You're gonna do 1 drop of each of them, and it'll get you a really pretty lime color like this, and just put it in a piping bag, and we're gonna pipe it in between the layers and also use it for the drip on the outside of the cake. So let's get to making the pitch black icing. All right, so to make black buttercream, you are going to need the regular stuff to make buttercream. So some butter, heavy whipping cream, vanilla extract, and powdered sugar. And then to create the black color, you're going to need some black food coloring. I definitely recommend this brand. And you're also going to need some cocoa powder, and you can find this on Amazon. Make sure to look up jet black cocoa, and that will get you a really dark buttercream. So we're going to use 4 sticks of our unsalted butter, and make sure that it is at room temperature. And we are going to mix this on medium speed for about a minute. And once we mix that for about a minute, we're gonna scrape it down, and you wanna make sure that you have a Halloween themed scraper. You don't have to have one, I just obviously have to be extra and have a Halloween scraper. And then we're going to add in a ½ teaspoon of salt and about 3 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And mix that for about 30 seconds. Now we are going to add in about 8 cups of powdered sugar, and in between every 2 cups, I like to add in about a tablespoon of heavy whipping cream. You want to make sure to keep the mixer on low so the powdered sugar doesn't fly up everywhere. And then add in my tablespoon of heavy whipping cream. And then we are going to add in ½ cup of our jet black cocoa. And mix that on low. This is probably going to go everywhere. Yep. And then I'm gonna scrape down my paddle and my bowl, and then we will add in the black food coloring. And you can just eyeball the black food coloring. It all depends with what brand you have and everything. So once you get a really dark color, you can stop adding in your food coloring. And a big tip to get extra dark colored icing, this goes for anything, it can go for red or any color really. You want to make it a night in advance because the color will get much deeper and darker overnight. So that is why I am making my black icing the night before. I'm gonna add in probably a tablespoon of black food coloring. Once your icing looks like this, it looks so creepy right now. It kind of looks like a monster hanging off of my mixer. Your black icing is finished, so I am going to put this batch of icing in the fridge, let it sit overnight, and let it get super dark and ready for this awesome Halloween cake that I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Alright, so I have a 6-inch cake layer here, and it is black. Whenever you make your cake layers, just add some black food coloring. Make sure that you use chocolate because it'll make your cake extra dark. You can use vanilla, but it's kind of the same thing like with the icing. You want to use a darker color to help assist the black be darker. So we use chocolate icing to make it darker, so you want to use a chocolate layer of cake to make it darker. Oh, and by the way, the icing tastes like Oreos, which is phenomenal. So I'm so excited to try this. So let's get started. You're gonna want a piping bag filled with some of your black buttercream, and you are just going to pipe a border around the outside. like so, because you don't want the slime to come out on the sides. So I'm just gonna cut a hole in my piping bag. Whoop. And we're just going to pipe this into the cake. And then we are going to do that for the rest of the layers, and we'll move on to our second tier and do the same exact thing. So once you have your crumb coat on each cake tier, you are then going to put on one more layer of black icing, and we're just gonna make it pretty thick and smooth. And then we're going to add in some thick smoothie straws in the middle of the 6-inch or whatever size you have, just the bottom tier, to support the top one. So I'll show you guys how to do that once I put on this layer of icing. Now that we have our final coat on our cake, we can add in our supports. So I have these really thick milkshake straws, and I'm just going to stick 3 in the center of the cake. I'm just eyeballing it. You can definitely measure this so it's perfect. So if you have a 4-inch cake going on top like me, make sure that you measure a circle around so you know where the cake's gonna be. And I'm just going to stick in 3, like I said. So you just want to stick them in, pull them up a little bit so you can get it exact, and then push it back down in. And this will stop the cake from sinking, because if there's something on top of it, most likely it'll sink down and it'll just ruin your whole entire creation. So I am going to crumb coat my top tier, and then we're going to place it on top of this cake. Usually on the tier that's going on top, I have a cake board underneath it, but since it's a 4-inch and it's in the freezer, I can touch it and the icing won't come off of my hands, and I'm just going to plop it right on top of this. I also usually have a wooden dowel going through the whole entire cake and into the next tier so it doesn't flop over, but this is such a small cake, I think it's gonna stay together, and I'm just having it for a little Halloween party, so I don't really need that. But if you're going to be driving it somewhere, I do recommend putting a dowel through the middle and have it stick up through the other one. Obviously, make sure it doesn't come through the top of the cake, but that'll keep it from tipping over, especially if you're making a bunch of turns on your way to wherever you're going. So we're gonna put the crumb coat on the 4-inch cake next. All right, now that we have our supports in, we're just going to cover up those straws with some icing, and then we are going to add on our green slime. So I'm just gonna start dripping it over the side of the cake, kind of like you would with ganache. But I'm not gonna make the drips as perfect as I would with ganache. I'm kind of wiggling my bag back and forth whenever I let it drip, so it looks a little sloppy, more like slime, because you don't want the drips to be perfect. That doesn't really look like slime in my opinion. So kind of just make it a little sloppy. just gonna put some on the top. And then we're going to put on our top tier. So just take it off the cake board, plop it right on top. Make sure it's centered. And then we're going to do the same thing with the top. Here is our finished cake. It looks so awesome and I'm really excited to dive into it. I love the taste of vanilla pudding, so I think it's gonna taste really good. Actually, I know it's gonna taste really good because I had it last year whenever I made it, but this is so cool. Like, it really looks like slime and I'm very impressed. And the dogs somehow got in here, so they're just walking around. Here's Mr. Yellow. And here's little Piglet. And of course, the female bulldog, she's camera shy, so she's out on the couch, but these two are always around the food. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good rest of your day, everyone. Bye.